Hi babies, and welcome back to another video. It's your girl Virgo Garden. If you don't know, now you know. Anything you need to know about little me will be down below in the description box. You do not have to be a Virgo to watch this video. Hi my babies, hi. I hope everyone's doing well and swell. Quick reminder, I am open for counseling sessions and readings, and also numerology charts and Chinese astrology charts as well. And there's the train. So we are going to go ahead and get into this Sunday in Mimosas. I'm gonna try my best to get through it. So I really thought I had did one about this particular person, but when I was going back, like scanning through all of the Sunday mimosas that I posted, I haven't, or I didn't find it. So we're gonna go ahead and do why you shouldn't hold on to guilt, and this is going to be about somebody that we're gonna call my Tupac. So it was the end of April 2017, and I had just been let go from the shipyard. I was doing well with my boutique business because I had just came from a vending event from Mississippi. So I was in a content space in life. Like, I wasn't working for anyone. I was still having some sort of income, and I was good. Bills was paid. I was good. Marley was good. Everything was good. So I just so happened to stop at this corner store that I frequent a lot, and it's a hood store, okay? So it was a lot of people that was like hanging outside, and I don't know how I keep ending up at these hood stores, probably because they're cheaper than the other stores, I don't know, but we really need to change that, okay? But this guy was standing by where I parked, and when I got out the car, he asked me if he could clean the windows for a couple of dollars. I gave him $1, and I told him don't worry about it because the car had just got cleaned. But he insisted that he worked for the money, and so I was like, well, what else do you do? And he started naming all this different stuff that he did, and when he got to like the 7th thing, he was like, poetry. I was like, oh really? Because I myself am a poet. I was like, really, poetry? I was like, I'm a poet too. Spit something, let me hear something. He was like, word, and right there on the spot, he spit me something. And that shit was so dope. I wish I could remember it, but that shit was so dope. So I was like, well, I'm a poet as well, so I spit him something. And he was like, yo, that shit was fire. It's this poem I got called Dear System. He was like, that shit was fire. So he was like, oh, I got another one. I was like, word? I was like, this time let me record it. Because something in my spirit, something in my intuition just said, you need to record this one. So I was like, Zard, if I could record you. He was like, yeah. So I record him, and I forgot the name of the poem, but it was one of the most beautiful poems I've ever heard in my life. And in that very moment, he became my favorite poet. I asked him, well, I didn't really ask him. I told him, like, yo, I'm going to shout you out on Facebook, and I'm going to tag you in it. So we got each other's information. Well, he gave me his Facebook name, and I looked him up on Facebook. He told me to give him a few days to approve the request because he doesn't have a phone. So the day that he approved the request, it did take a few days, but the day that he approved the request, I posted the video and tagged him in it right then. That video right now on my Facebook currently has over 700 views. And that was the beginning of our friendship, that poetry cipher. I've never had a friendship start like that. And I don't know, that shit was just dope. Like, that shit was magical. That was definitely written by the Most High for sure, for me and this person to meet and how we met. So as our friendship went on, he told me about his ex-wife and his kids, and how he basically lived on the street, and how he fell into addiction. I honored the fact that he was honest with me, because I wouldn't have guessed it if he wouldn't have told me. Until someone else told me years and years and years later. But I already knew about it. So we were building a friendship, so I honored him for being that honest with me. I didn't ever judge him because of it. I didn't ever look down on him because of it. I seen him when he was on it. I seen him when he was clean. And it's a huge difference. And I still love both people. So it didn't ever change my outlook on him because his heart was pure. And that's not something that you find every day. So I have a lot of respect and a lot of honor for this man, regardless of his obstacles that he was facing, because we all facing obstacles. We all have traumas. We all have pains, and how we deal with them is how we deal with them. I'm not going to judge somebody off it. I'm going to judge somebody off of how their character is, though. So, because he didn't have a phone, we mostly kept in touch on Facebook. But because he would be in and out of jail, he would always forget his password and he would have to start a new Facebook. So I tried to write him one time and get his address because I thought it was his cousin, but couldn't find out it was his girlfriend, I think, at the point in time, had posted that he was locked up because they were looking for him. And when I inboxed her and told her I was a friend and I asked for the address, she didn't give it to me. So when he got out a few months later and he found out, oh, he was pissed. So he got my address from me and he actually memorized it in case he ever got locked up again. So every time he got locked up after that, he would write me and I would write him back. And I mean, he would write me some of the most beautiful letters, yo. Like some of the most beautiful letters. And I still have all of them to this day. Anytime any of my homeboys get locked up, I always try to write them to keep their spirits up and to let them know that someone cares about them. So he went in and out of jail for a while and then he finally stopped. But every time he went to jail, he would always write me because he knew I was going to write him back. And that's how we would stay in contact. He would send me poetry he was working on and I would just keep his spirits uplifted. So he finally stopped going in and out of jail and I hadn't heard from him or seen him in a while. Then one day I go to this new corner store that I started frequenting, okay? And when I got there, he was there. And when we saw each other, we both smiled instantly and we hugged each other. And this is when our friendship began to deepen because I got to see him more. So that meant we got to spend more time together. So when I would go up to the store, like he would ask me to give him a ride somewhere or I would just kick it with him for a little while. And we just spent more time together. So during this process, I would let him listen to new music that I was working on and I went to the studio to record. Or I would spit new poetry for him and he would spit me some of his new poems. And we would talk about everything, okay? Like everything. I mean, everything. We both love to cook. We love to joke. Like, we would debate about the Bible. Like, when I say this man loved God and Jesus, like, he was a go-hard Christian. So one day I go to the corner store and he would call me by my stage name. He would call me Rose. And he was like, yo, Rose. He was like, can you give me, a ride? Not too far from here. And I was like, yeah, I'll take you. Just, let me go in here, get my stuff or whatever. And I got you. So I give him a ride and I drop him off in front of this house. And I mean, this janky looking house. It had a lot of people in front of it. It had a lot of junk in the yard. And I dropped him off. And then another time, he asked me to take him to this exact same house. But this time, he asked me to wait for him. So I did, and when he got back in the car, when we were pulling off, one thing I can definitely say about this man, he was always honest with me. Even if it was something he wasn't proud of, he was always honest with me from jump. Like, for him to tell me at the very, very beginning stages of us building a friendship that he has an addiction and opening up to me and telling me about his ex-wife and his kids and how he want to be a better father and this, that, and the third. Like, I have a lot of respect for the man. So that's one thing that made me fuck with him because he was always honest with me. And he told me, he was like, Rose, I gotta be honest with you. He was like, it was a drug dealer's house that he had me dropping him off to and that we just pulled off from. Oh, I was pissed. I was pissed because he's such a good person. He has such a good heart. And I understand his traumas and his pains. And that's how he chooses to deal with them. But we not just talking about weed. We talking about we talking about hard. Okay? We talking about dog food. We talking about shit way harder than weed. Okay? To the people that understand the lingo. Alright? So I was pissed because I don't want my friend on that shit. Like, that shit bothered me. I didn't judge him, but it hurt me that he did that. And I'm like, one day he gonna get off this shit. I know he is, because he's a strong ass person, but he didn't see himself as that though. So I was pissed, but I didn't cuss him out. But I did tell him gently that was not cool and that he has to do better. So I realized that my friend was still struggling. I thought he was doing better because he would go through phases when he was clean and go through phases when he was back on it. And I thought he was doing better because I was seeing him more. He seemed like he was doing good. But couldn't find out he wasn't. So one day, I just so happened to have some time. And I took him to the water. And that's something that I do with, I notice particularly my male friends. Because they don't have people that listen to them and actually really give a fuck about their feelings and, you know, what they thinking, what's on their mind, what they going through, that let them vent. I'm that person. Okay, I'm that person for everybody. But I'm especially that person for my male friends. So one thing I will do with my male friends, especially when I know they going through a lot of shit, is I'll take them to the water. Or either I have them meet me at the park and I'll ground with them. And they don't even know that's what we're doing. I just be like, can we sit on the ground? And they were like, sure. Like, they always be looking at me weird, like, why the fuck we sitting on the ground for when it's chairs and stuff like that out here? No, let's sit on the ground. Hey, let's try to take our shoes off. You know, I be trying. Some of them do, some of them don't. But I took them to the water and we had a deep conversation about his mom. And, you know, the things he's experienced as a child. So I really got to know his inner child at this particular moment. So it was a very intimate moment. Like I said, intimacy is not always romantic. It was it's probably the most intimate moment, probably the most intimate moment me and my friend ever had, yo. It was like the world stopped around us. It was like we was in our own vortex. But we also had conversations about God and Jesus, because at that point in time, my belief was in another space than what it is now, and also religion. So, like, we sat out there for like a good 30, 45 minutes. That's one of my favorite memories with him. So, he did tell me how much he appreciated me and how much he needed that. So, another time, I got a phone call in the middle of the night, and it's a hurricane outside. And it's my Pac. It's my Tupac. And he was like, yo, Rose. He was like, and I could tell by the way that he sounded, something was wrong with him. Like, his voice, the way he was breathing, like, it was scaring me. Something was wrong with him. And he was like, I just called to tell you I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm like, yo, what? And he was like, I'm at the hospital, man. He was like, don't be mad at me. Please don't be mad at me. And I was like, what? And he was like, remember that house that you took me to? And I was like, yeah. I already knew he talking about the janky house, janky drug dealer house. I'm like, yeah. And he was like, basically he got some stuff from the dude, and he was like, it was some new type of stuff, and the dude poisoned him. Or he felt that the dude poisoned him. I don't know if the guy poisoned him or not, but he went to the hospital. I was like, yo, where you at? Period, point blank. I don't give a fuck that it's 12 o'clock and it's a hurricane outside. Where you at, yo? And he told me what hospital he was at. Who ain't drop everything and go? I sure did. I get there, yo, what room is such and such in? They let me know. I go in there, he's sleeping. I go sit down in the chair. I was sitting there for like a good probably 10, 20 minutes. This man wake up, look in the corner, and he see me sitting there all he could do was turn his head the other way. He was like, oh my God. Like, he wanted to cry, but he couldn't help but to smile because he know I real life love him and fuck with him. Because he knows it's a hurricane outside. And that just deepened our friendship. Because he need to know somebody care about you. Somebody give a fuck about you, y'all. So that just made him have like a whole new level of respect for me. And he never forgot that. So it was another time, fast forward, when he's doing better and he's clean. He's getting his act together. He got a job. He working at the Hilton, okay? Doing big things, okay? And at this particular point in time in my life, I was very suicidal. So I really needed to get the fuck out that apartment. And he called me. He was like, yo, Rose, I don't mean to bother you. He was like, but he like, I really want to see you. He was like, but do you mind giving me a ride? I'm like, yeah, that's a 2-for-1. You get a ride and I get to see you. And at this point in time, he was staying in a homeless shelter. It's a really nice homeless shelter though. So I go pick him up, but we go sit by the water. I don't take him straight to the homeless shelter. He already got a room on lock because he's a good person. They make sure that they save a room for him. And he got a job, so they automatically gonna let him get a room. So his room was straight, so he wasn't really worried too much about getting back on time, but he knew I was in a horrible space. He's never seen me depressed. He's never seen me suicidal, and that shit bugged the fuck out of him. So he was like, remember that time you took me to go sit by the water when I was going through it? I was like, yeah. He was like, let's go sit by some water. So we went and we sat by some water, and the way I was sitting, I wasn't sitting all the way down. I actually was like squatting down. And it's like I was holding my knees, but I was on my tippy toes. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. And I was right there on the edge. And I kept rocking back and forth. And all I kept thinking was, I'm about to jump in this fucking water. I don't care about my life. I don't care about... And it was cold, too. That water was cold. I didn't care about none of that. All I was thinking about was, I'm about to jump in this fucking water. All I want to do is die. The moment I went to go lunge into that water, I lie to you not. This is why I say God is real. I don't care what nobody say. I know for facts God is real. I felt it was like this invisible wall pushed me back and it kept me from going forward. And at the same time I was going forward, he looked at me. He said, you better not. Because he knew I was about to jump in that water. And he told me later on, he said, if you would have jumped in that water, we both would have been wet. He's like, I was going in right behind you. So it's like, I never forgot that moment. Because I'm like, yo, you saved me. And the fact that he saw me, like, he could have just got the ride, went straight to the homeless shelter, been in his room chilling. But he saw I wasn't good, and he was like, nah, I'm going to make time for you. So I seriously appreciate that. We had a real... genuine friendship. So I actually think he OD'd, like when he went to the hospital, that was actually after I was suicidal. Because I remember after like he OD'd, we lost touch and then we got back in touch. But when we got back in touch, it was like the following year and he had a girlfriend. Yeah. So come to find out, he had fell back into his addiction. And it got really bad. He met this lady. Somehow, she finessed this man and got him all the way from the bottom of Virginia into Washington, D.C. Away from his kids, away from anything that he knows that's familiar, away from his friends. And like, you know. So I already didn't like that. But I'm like, well, at least you're doing better. He was telling me how he's all in love, this, that, and the third. So one night, me and him having a conversation, he telling me about his girlfriend. So I get to asking questions. You are my friend. It's my responsibility to be, you know, protective of what you're investing in. Like, you ain't had no cakewalk in life. We ain't going backwards, my G. So I'm asking him certain questions to see what type of lady she is. Gonna find out she's sitting right beside him. She ain't like the fact I was asking questions. I don't remember exactly what statement or question I said, but she heard it and she didn't like it and she wanted the phone. I said, give it to her. He was like, oh, shit. He was like, oh, shit, I'll give her the phone. Guys, it's not my intentions to sit up here and argue with one of my homeboys' old ladies. But if you want me to clear something up, I will directly talk to you. All right? So she was like, well, what was that you just said? I'm like, well, hi, I'm Nina. What's your name? Okay, let's start there. Where's the manners? And so I repeated to her whatever it was, and I explained to her, no offense, ma'am, I don't know you. I don't really give a fuck about you. It is my friend that I care about. That is who I am supposed to have. That's whose back I'm supposed to have. I said, so if this works out, then it's great. I said, but if not, like, it's my responsibility to have his back. As you know, he done been through a lot of stuff. We not going backwards. I want to make sure he's making all the right decisions and that he's focused on his progress and moving forward. That's it. That's all. Okay? So she kind of, decided to play nice. I could tell she won't be genuine, but because that's her dude, she decided to play nice because I am a friend that he speaks a lot about to her. So she felt threatened. Okay, let's be honest. She felt threatened. And, she ain't like me after that conversation. So after that, I noticed Shorty Doo-Wop started doing shady stuff. Like on Facebook, you can have it set up to where, like, if you forget your password, you get locked out your Facebook, it's certain people that they'll send a code to, and then they'll give you the code, and then you put in the code, and you can get back in your Facebook. I forgot what it's called. Close friends, some shit like that. I forgot what it's called. But he had me as that on his Facebook. He got locked out his Facebook some way, somehow. Shorty Doo-Wop then took me off the thing. He hit me up to get his code. I'm like, I don't even see that. They ain't sending me no code. Couldn't find out she took me off the code list. When I say this thing here was so calculated, she took me off the code list. She kept putting me in his ignore messages so he couldn't see my messages. It's like she was trying to cut off all types of communication that we could possibly have with each other. She was trying to force him to start his Facebook all over again. Like, he wasn't about to come look for me, though. Like, just shady. Just shady, okay? Like, one time he told me, like, this was later on, that he walked in on her and she had like this little tiny bottle in her hand and he caught her drinking out of it. And she drank all of it. And it was pink. And he asked her what it is and she laughed and said it was a love potion. And kind of find out her people from the island. I said, see? This is the shit right there that I'll be speaking of. That bibbidi bobbidi boop shit, making people fall in love with you. Then when they fall out of love with you, they can't stand your ass. He's one of the people that I'm referring to when I say that. I done seen it with my own eyes. I'm not, okay? I done seen it with my own eyes. So I was like, oh, hell no. Then the family in the islands, they don't like him because he's a recovering drug addict and felt like she could do better. So they made her kick him out her own house that they don't live in. Make that make sense. So he ends up going to Richmond, ends up staying with a homeboy. I'm video chatting with him, the homeboy in the background. I don't like the homeboy energy. The homeboy finally leave out the room because he snuck up behind him another time. We thought he left and I was like, yo, he behind you. The nigga was trying to sneak up and hear our conversation. So when he finally do leave out, I was like, you need to watch him. I don't trust him. He was like, no, that's my people, since they're in the third. Come to find out, not even, I think, a whole 2 weeks later, they get into it. He act like they about to go ride somewhere. And he dropped him off at the bus station and then come back. Left all his shit at the house. His charger, that boy ain't had nothing but his phone and his ID. I said, what in the hell? All his poetry, all of that shit, gone. Gone. I said, Lord. And he would not have been in that position if it weren't for that thing he was messing with. Anyway, so that was a whole bunch of drama. So then he ends up back with her because he ain't had nowhere else to go. So then we end up basically not on speaking terms. So one time he tried to sneak down here to come see me. He was coming to see his kids, but he was going to come see me too while he was down here because she wasn't coming. I guess she found out about that. Something happened. He ended up not coming at all. At all. Okay? So he ends up back with her. We kind of fall out of touch a little bit. And then next thing I know, he hit me up. He apologizing to me. He said I should have never because he kind of got like a nasty attitude with me. Oh, that's what it was. We were supposed to be doing the verses. I forgot about this. We were supposed to be doing a poetry verses. Because I'm like, I don't want to do it with nobody but you. So we're supposed to be doing a poetry verses. And as we're planning it, she finds out that we're planning it. And she starts causing problems. And I said something. I'm like, yo, I'm tired of this shit. Like, I'm not in this relationship. Why is drama keep coming to me, this, and the third? And he's like, yo, Rose, that's my girl, this, and the third. He caught an attitude with me. So I fell the fuck back. So when they broke up, he ends up in a rehab center. And I get a message from his new Facebook. And he was like, yo, Rose, I apologize. Like, I apologize for the attitude. You didn't deserve to be treated that way. I won't ever let anyone come in between us again. And I accepted his apology, and he told me I won't ever lose you again. And I thought he meant that. Okay? I thought he meant that. So, we was vibing for some months. I mean, we was like video chatting every week. I'm spitting new music for him that I ain't went to go record yet, and he fucking with it. I even spit for him a song that I wrote about people that I was real close to, and I feel like they fucked me over, and he was the last person that I spoke about in the song. And cause I told him about it, he was like, oh no, you gotta spit that. So I spit it for him, and he fucked with it. He was like, you ain't say nothing wrong. So, like, he would spit new poetry for me, this, that, and the third. But he was going through a lot while he was in that rehab center. He was missing his mom. He was missing his kids. And then on top of that, him and the girl, when we did get back in touch, him and the girl fucked around and had a baby. I said, Lord, now you stuck with her ass. So now he got kids with the ex-wife down here, and now he has a newborn baby with the girl in Washington, D.C., but he's in Baltimore, though, in a rehab center, trying to get his life together. So he was going through a lot emotionally, and I was just trying to be there for my friend. I would send him uplifting things. I even Googled scriptures that I could send him. Like, I was just trying to be the best type of friend that I could be. So something happened with one of his friends in the rehab center, and they ended up committing suicide. It fucked with him. Next thing I know, we fell out of touch for maybe a couple weeks. Next thing I know, he's back with her. We end up falling out of touch again. But this time, when we fell out of touch, I was done. I was done. I couldn't do it anymore. So, that was 2021. When all of that happened. As y'all know, last year, I went through some life-changing events. Okay, shorty's a survivor out this bitch, alright? So, I mean, I got jumped, stabbed, evicted, was homeless, okay? And I flunked out of my first semester back in college. So, yeah, I was going through a lot, you know, depression, all of that shit. I was going through a lot, so my mind wasn't even thinking about of who can I reach out to. Just so happened last year, it was 3 days after my birthday, I think me and my mama was riding to go get me some food, and someone told me check my ignore messages, and I had a voice note from my Tupac. And I listened to it, but I was pissed. I was still mad. I'm not gonna lie, I was still mad. Because this is somebody, we would randomly get on Facebook, and he would leave a poem on my Facebook page, and I would respond back to it, and he would respond back to it. We have a whole poetry cipher right there on my Facebook page. So, I was hurt. Okay? I was hurt. Because I already went through this with my ex-best friend. And now I'm going through this again with someone else I'm very, very close to. I was hurt. Like, we done saved each other. I was hurt, though. So, it was 3 days after my birthday. And I checked my ignore messages. And the voice note was in there. And instead of me responding with what I wanted to say, I sent him the link to my fan page of a poem that I wrote about him. And about the situation with his girlfriend and how I was hurt. he never opened that message. December 2022, I was thinking about him. I was depressed. I was going through it. And I remember that time I tried to jump in the water. Called him twice on his Facebook. Didn't answer. I sent him a message about that time I tried to jump in the water and how I would not ever forget him. And I thanked him for being there for me. He never read the message. He never got the phone calls. July this year, I want to say it was July 27th. Well, let's say, matter of fact, July 26th. I'm going to go get my pizza. My mama's driving. And I go look on my Facebook memories. And it was this poem he had tagged me in. And I had deleted him off my Facebook. I deleted all his pages off my Facebook. I was pissed. It's this poem he tagged me in. And it was one of my favorite poems because it leads right into a song that he was going to record and put out. And he did both of them in a video. And it's just so deep and it will bring tears to your eyes. Like, his work brings tears to your eyes. Like, he is a wordsmith. He's nice with the words. I'm trying to tell you. And I was tearing up. I was like, damn, I miss my friend, y'all. And then I scrolled down. I went to his personal Facebook page, scrolled down a little bit, and right up under that post that popped up in my memories, it was this Facebook status he had wrote, and he tagged me in it, and he was saying all this good stuff about me, how I'm a good friend, and how I'm healing to the soul, and how I give people strength, and how he will always honor me and respect me, and just, I was like, damn, yo, I miss my friend. But I was going to hit him up, but my ex-best friend called me. We ended up on the phone for like 4 hours. So, July 27th, I wake up, and I was rolling up, and I just so happened to get on Facebook, and I was like, I'm going to go outside and ground. And I just so happened to get on Facebook. And I was like, I'm about to go add him as a friend, yo. Because ain't no need for us not to be speaking. And I done tried to contact you, and you done tried to contact me. And we done missed each other. I'm like, I'm going to just go ahead and try to reach out and see what happens. So I get on his Facebook page, and I find out that he has a new Facebook page. But I see one of his old Facebook pages. And I go on his old Facebook page and I see all these people tagging him. Rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in peace, rest in... Boy, my soul fucking shattered. I let out this heart-wrenching scream. And I was fucked up for probably about a good 2 weeks. Close to 2 weeks. I already told y'all about this friend in some of the readings in the last couple weeks. And this is the friend that I was speaking of. This shit fucking sucks. I'm gonna be honest with you. But it was not until I spoke to my therapist, I think this past week, that I was able to let it go. Because it took me damn near a week to be able to accept it. I'm like, no, my friend's not dead. He's coming back. Yo, we gonna be having ciphers again like we used to. I'm gonna get to see him again. Give me one of them good bear hugs like I used to get. Yo, like, my friend's not dead, yo. But he is. So I had to accept it. But when I say every day, waking up crying, every morning, I'm waking up crying. Every night, I'm crying. In the middle of driving, I'm crying. Driving past old spots in my old city, I'm like, fuck, bruh. Fucked up, yo. And I had so much guilt on me because I'm like, why did you have to hold, like, why did you hold that grudge? Like, why you ain't try to reach out to him sooner? Why you ain't contact him? Why you ain't take him out to ignore messages? Like, yo, why? And then I'm like, how did he die? I don't think I want to know. Like, it just so much shit going on in my head, yo. And I'm beating myself up like, you gotta learn to let shit go quicker, yo. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, you gotta learn to let shit quicker, yo. And then I hate getting on Facebook, finding out one of my friends died. Like, that's the third time that shit done happened. Like, that shit hurts. That shit hurts to get on Facebook and all you see is rest in peace on your friend page. And you ain't talked to them in a few months or in a while. You're like, yo, that shit hurts. You ask me, that's one of the worst ways to find out, man. But I finally was able to accept it like a week ago. So I just been working on the healing part. But I've been beating myself up and that's been prolonging my healing. I had a conversation with my therapist this week. And she said, Nina, here's the irony of what she said. Tell me if this don't sound familiar. She said, Nina, but you didn't know. And you did what was best for you at the point in time. Because I was about to get pulled back into another cycle of drama if I would have stayed around my friend. I know for a fact, because I'm a spiritual person and I'm a medium, I know for a fact that my friend was not mad at me. And I know that my friend knows now that I'm not mad at him. And I know for a fact that my friend still loves me to the end of the earth. And he knows for a fact that I love him to the end of the earth as well. I thank God for these spiritual gifts I got. Because between that and talking to my therapist, it definitely brought me some peace. Because I didn't know. I didn't wish him no ill intentions. And it's not my fault that he died. And I kept beating myself up like if I was there, this wouldn't have happened. As that train is going off in the background, it's the completion of a cycle. It's time to move forward. It's not my fault and I can't carry that guilt. His path was his path to walk. And I can't stop nobody from their destiny. I just pray that when his soul returns back to this earth, it's in so much more peace than what it was this go round. So, alright, babies. I'm your girl, Virgo Garden. If you didn't know that shit, I bet you know that shit now. How to follow me, how to book me, and how to get my wonderful, beautiful, amazing products that you all love so much will be down below in the description box. I love you, babies. Stay tuned to the end. I got a little treat for you at the end. I will be having the video of when I first met my friend, of the poem that he spit. Just stop carrying the guilt. If you didn't know, you didn't know. Stop beating yourself up. Allow yourself to heal and allow yourself to move forward because your life is passing you by. Enjoy the moments while you have them and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, babies. Love you. Mwah.
Was abused, and when I went to shake her hand, she snatched it back after telling me that her husband beat on her. So this woman inspired this poem. I just wish that you could look inside of me. This pain, this love that only God can see. My heart is true and I love so deep that the next hand I hold, I want to keep. But I'm afraid. I'm afraid to love and afraid to win, just to gain your heart and then lose again. No, I'm afraid. I'm afraid to trust and afraid to try. Cause today I'm alive, but at night I die. I'm afraid. So please, please don't get too close to me. Even though my heart says this is where you're supposed to be, I'm afraid. And when you speak, I fear your words, cause they're the sweetest sounds I've ever heard, but I'm afraid. And you don't understand my fear, cause the last you I had just left me here, broken down in dirt and shame, like a flower in the sun that thirsts for rain. I cried, God, please keep me from crying. But he said these tears keep me from dying. They watered my roots and gave me strength to stand in pain and take this shit. I can. And love again I will. But right now my heart needs time to heal. But I do have love that only God could see. I just wish that you could look inside of me.
Yeah. Tell him your name. Tell him your name.
Good fella. Nelson Skeeter, but I go by good fella. Thanks, homie. Yeah. I appreciate that. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's all love. She brought that out of me tonight.
That's what I'm saying. No problem. I'm going to shout you out on Facebook, y'all.
That's what it do. Please do that.
I got you.